Today we're making homemade birria queso tacos. I've been seeing a very Americanized version all over the internet, so today I'll be showing you guys how to make it the authentic way. Need about 6 chile guajillos, 3 chile de árbol, and about 5 ancho chiles. You want to add those to a big pot of water with 5 pounds of chuck roast, everything that I have listed on the screen as well. You want to skim the top of your broth, we want it very clean. Add a hefty pinch of salt, cover and let it cook for about 1 hour. After 1 hour, you want to take out your chiles and add them to a blender. You also want to add in some of your onions, garlic, and cinnamon stick, as well as a little bit of our beef broth. You also want to add in everything that I have displayed on the screen. You want to blend until very smooth for about 1 to 2 minutes. We're going to add that to our beef broth. Also adding in 2 boiled tomatoes that I pureed. You want to let that cook for another 2 hours. Take your meat out of your broth and strain your liquid. You want to take your corn tortillas and dip them to your strained broth. Put them to a hot pan with some butter and you want them to get nice and crispy. Add your Oaxaca cheese, your shredded beef, some onions and cilantro. Dip them into your consomme with some onions and cilantro and you're done. Today we're making the best sweet potato casserole hands down. Even if you don't like sweet potatoes, I promise you you're going to love this. Walmart and I partnered up to show you guys this incredible recipe, so I went ahead and grabbed all the ingredients that I needed and got started. Today we're making Cane's chicken tenders, but 10 times better. If you want the recipes for the Texas toast and the cane sauce, they're already up on my page. But for the chicken, you want to marinate it in buttermilk, 1 egg, and 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. For at least 1 to 2 hours, overnight is preferred. Now in a separate bowl, you want to add 1.5 cups of flour, a tablespoon of cornstarch, and a teaspoon of baking soda, a tablespoon of onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, salt, and paprika, and 1 cup of Italian breadcrumbs. We're going to take our chicken from our marinade and dip it into our flour, dip it into our buttermilk mixture, and then into our flour again. Let them rest on a rack for 10 minutes. Fry on medium heat for about 6 to 10 minutes or until fully cooked, and you're ready to enjoy. I obviously served it with my cane sauce, the homemade Texas toast, and some fries, and the written recipes will be on my Instagram throughout the week. Today we're making Cane's Texas toast, but 10 times better. You want to begin by adding 1 cup of flour, 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, as well as 1/2 cup of warm milk to a bowl. Mix and let it rest for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, you want to add in 6 eggs, 3.5 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of sugar, as well as 2.5 teaspoons of salt. Now while kneading your dough, you want to add in 16 tablespoons of room temperature butter. Knead your dough for 20 minutes, add to an oiled bowl and let it rest for 1 hour. After 1 hour, add half of your dough to a floured surface. It's meant to be very sticky, so don't worry about that. Cut into 6 pieces. Flatten down one of your sections and fold your bread over itself. Flatten down one more time and then roll very tightly. Here I'm showing you how to make a brioche loaf. For the Texas toast, I recommend using a wider pan like I'm showing in the next clip. You don't want your dough to touch the sides. It's going to allow our bread to bake in the right shape. I just lost the clip of me adding it in. You want to brush on egg wash, add sesame seeds, and bake at 375 for 30 minutes. And we're done. Today I'll be showing you guys how to make buttery garlic knots. We're going to start off by grabbing a bowl. Add 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons yeast, as well as 4 tablespoons white sugar, 2 cups of warm water, and 3 tablespoons of dry milk. The dry milk is optional, by the way. You want to mix and cover for about 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we're going to add in 3 more cups of flour, 1/2 cup of olive oil, as well as 1 teaspoon of salt. You want to knead your dough for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, flour your surface and pat down your dough. You want to cut your dough into strips, and then we're going to cut them again in half. We're going to roll out our dough very gently and then tie it into a knot. Make sure to not pull on your dough while tying it. We want them to stay nice and fluffy. Add your dough to a prepared baking sheet, and we're going to brush on some egg wash. Bake at 350 for about 10 to 20 minutes or until golden. While they were baking, I melted 1 stick of butter and added 1 tablespoon of garlic powder and fresh parsley. Brush them on top of your knots, and we're done. I was experimenting in my kitchen again, and these cookies came out absolutely insane. Definitely the best cookies that I made so far, and I can't wait to share the recipe with you guys. You're going to start with cutting 1/2 cup of cold butter, also adding in 1 cup of white sugar. You want to mix until it creates a sand-like texture. Then we're going to add in 1 egg and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. Mix again, and then we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 3/4 cups of flour. Add in 1/2 cup to 1 cup of chocolate chips, and walnuts are optional. Add your cookie dough to a prepared baking sheet, and we're going to bake at 350 for 15 minutes, and we're done. If you're sitting down, please get up and make these. I promise you, you won't regret it. Today we're making Olive Garden stuffed with Toscana soup, but 10 times better. This This is my take on the soup. It's not meant to be exactly the same, but I wanted to share it with you guys. I started off with prepping everything that I needed. Minced 1 small onion, 6 cloves of garlic, and I also cubed 3 russet potatoes. Here I'm cooking some turkey sausage in some olive oil. Once it was cooked, I put it into a separate bowl. Once you've removed your sausage, you want to add a stick of butter. Saute your onion and garlic. After they sauteed for a couple minutes, you want to add in about 3 cups of chicken broth. Throw in your potatoes. You want to let it come to a boil, cover, and time it for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you want to add in about 2 cups of heavy cream. Seasoning with a teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, red pepper flakes, salt, and black pepper. If you want the same look as the original soup, skip this next step. But I mixed some water and cornstarch together and added it to my soup. This is going to make it more creamy. It's just the way that I like it. You want to add in your sausage and about 2 handfuls of kale. I ended up adding another teaspoon of each seasoning, but finished off my soup with bacon and Parmesan cheese, and you're done. Today we're making ratatouille. I was scrolling through the Likewise app because I was bored and didn't know what to make. They recommended ratatouille probably because I'm obsessed with Disney movies, but while I was watching it, I remembered how badly I wanted to try it when I was younger. So today I tried to make it to see if it was worth all the hype. And honestly, it was really easy to make, so I'm going to show you guys how I did it. You want to start off by prepping your veggies. You want to thinly slice 2 yellow squash, 2 zucchinis, 6 Roma tomatoes, as well as 1 eggplant. For our sauce, I minced 1 small onion, 6 cloves of garlic, and 2 bell peppers. I sauteed them for a few minutes in some olive oil. Seasoned with a teaspoon of basil, red pepper flakes, salt, and black pepper. Added in 16 ounces of tomato sauce. I let that come to a simmer, then added in my veggies. I topped it off with about 5 tablespoons of olive oil, garlic powder, salt, basil, and fresh parsley. You want to cover with tinfoil and bake for 1 hour. Take off the tinfoil the last 20 minutes, and you're done. For more movie recommendations, check out Likewise, link in bio. Today we're making matcha snickerdoodles. If you're a matcha lover, you're going to love these. They came out amazing. I've gotten so many DMs asking about the matcha bar matcha, so I wanted to make a recipe out of it for you guys. Here I'm starting with adding 2 sticks of room temperature butter, 2 eggs, a cup and a half of sugar, as well as a tablespoon of vanilla extract. You want to mix everything together. Now I'm sifting in 2 cups and 3/4 of flour, 2 teaspoons cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon baking soda, a half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of matcha. Mix everything together until well combined. We're going to form our dough into balls and roll it in cinnamon sugar. You want to prepare a baking sheet and bake at 350 for 15 minutes, and you're done. They came out amazing, but if you want a stronger matcha flavor, I suggest 2 tablespoons of matcha. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the perfect mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving. We're going to be making garlic and herb mashed potatoes. To begin, I peeled, cut, and washed 6 potatoes. You want to fill a large pot with some water. Add your potatoes in, and I also added in about 6 cloves of garlic to boil with my potatoes. Let them come to a boil, and you want to time it for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you want to drain your potatoes. Here I'm adding in about a half a cup to 1 cup of heavy cream, a half a stick of butter, 2 tablespoons of sour cream, a teaspoon and a half of dill, a teaspoon and a half of garlic powder and salt, as well as some freshly chopped chives. Kept my potatoes pretty textured because that's the way I like it, so I didn't mash them too much. I plated my mashed potatoes, topped it with some more melted butter and chives, and we're done. I'll be posting a recipe for smooth mashed potatoes next week. I promise you, if you make this mac and cheese on Thanksgiving, you're going to wow everybody at the dinner table. So today I'll be showing you guys how to make the best homemade mac and cheese. You're going to begin by adding 4.5 cups of heavy cream and 4 ounces of cream cheese to a saucepan, and let that come to a simmer on stovetop. We're using penne pasta instead of elbow macaroni. The ridges on penne allow the sauce to cling on better, which results in more flavor in each bite. But here I'm sauteing 1 small onion and about 6 cloves of garlic minced, and 1 stick of melted butter. I added about 2 tablespoons of flour and let that cook for a little. Then I added in our heavy cream mixture. Then for our cheese I added shredded cheddar, pepper jack, as well as freshly grated white cheddar. Seasoning with a teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and salt. Mix everything together well, then add in your pasta. I ended up adding in a little bit of turmeric just to give our pasta a nice color. Then you want to add half of your pasta into your baking dish. Layer on some of our cheese, and add on the rest of our pasta, more cheese, finishing off with Italian breadcrumbs. Baked at 350 for about 25 minutes, and we're done. I'll be posting another mac and cheese recipe next week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Today's the first day of my Thanksgiving series, and we're starting off really simple with this easy and delicious cornbread recipe. To begin, you want to start off by grabbing a bowl. We're going to add 1 cup of cornmeal, 1.5 cups of flour, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, as well as a half a teaspoon of baking soda. You're going to mix and set that to the side. In a clean bowl, we're going to add a cup of buttermilk, a half a cup of heavy cream, 2 eggs, 1/4 cup of honey, as well as a half a cup of sugar and a half a cup of melted butter. Mix everything together well, then we're going to add in our dry ingredients. Fold your batter together, and this is how it should look. You want to grease the pan. The one I'm using is 8 by 11. Smooth out your batter, and we're going to bake at 375 for about 20 to 30 minutes. Start at 20 minutes, check on it and see if it needs any more time. Finish it off by brushing some unsalted butter. Serve it with the jam of your choice, and you're ready to enjoy. Today we're going to be making homemade monkey bread. If you've never had monkey bread before, it's extremely addicting but also really easy to make, so let's get right into it. We're going to start by preparing our dough. Here I'm adding 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons of yeast, 4 tablespoons of sugar, 2 cups of warm water, as well as 3 tablespoons of dry milk and 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. You're going to mix everything together, cover with a towel, and we're going to let it sit for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you want to add in 3 more cups of flour, as well as 1 teaspoon of salt. We're going to knead our dough for 10 minutes with a dough hook. You can also knead your dough by hand if you'd like. Add your dough to a floured surface, pat it down gently, and we're going to cut it into bite-sized pieces. Now that we're done with that, we're going to mix up some cinnamon sugar. Also in a separate bowl, and a 1/2 cup of melted butter. Added it to the bottom of my cake pan. Coated my dough into my cinnamon sugar and plopped them in. Once your cake tin is full, you're going to bake at 350 for 50 minutes. Flip over your monkey bread, and I like to dust mine with some powdered sugar. And you're done. It's that easy and you're ready to enjoy. Today we're going to be making Nashville hot chicken sandwiches. It was so fun to make in my opinion, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it as well, so let's just get right into it. Here I have 4 clean chicken thighs. In a bowl I added 1 cup of flour, a tablespoon of cornstarch, and a teaspoon of baking soda. I seasoned with a tablespoon of onion powder, garlic powder, black pepper, paprika, chili powder, and cayenne. And lastly, about a teaspoon of salt. I mixed everything together and set it to the side. In another bowl I added about a cup of buttermilk, 1 egg, and about a 1/3 cup of hot sauce. You want to dip your clean chicken thighs into your buttermilk and then into your flour. And you're going to repeat one more time just to ensure that our chicken is nice and crispy. You want to let them sit on a rack for 10 minutes before you fry them. Here I'm just adding mayo, mustard, and honey to my coleslaw. Mixed and set it to the side. I also made homemade buns for this video as well, but didn't have enough time to record it. Fried my chicken on medium heat for about 8 minutes. And here I'm making the hot oil coating for our chicken. I'll list all the ingredients in the comments for you guys. And to build our sandwich, I added some spicy mayo, pickles, our chicken, brushed our coating on top, our coleslaw, and we're done. The full written recipe will be on my Instagram tomorrow. Today we're making Panera's autumn squash soup, but 10 times better. This is my personal take on the soup, and it came out amazing, so I can't wait for you guys to try it. We're gonna begin by preparing our veggies. I have 1 squash cut into cubes, 3 large carrots shredded, and in a hot pan I'm adding some oil and sauteing 1 medium onion chopped, as well as about 10 cloves of garlic minced. After they're done sauteing, go ahead and add in your veggies. And we're also gonna add in about 3 cups of veggie broth, just enough to cover our ingredients. Let it come to a boil, and then you're gonna cover it and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, we're going to add in a 1/2 cup of pumpkin puree, 4 tablespoons of butter, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, as well as a teaspoon of onion powder, garlic powder, curry, as well as cinnamon and a little bit of nutmeg. Lastly, about 1 cup to 2 cups of heavy cream. We're going to blend our soup until smooth. To thicken up the soup a little bit, I added about a tablespoon of cornstarch with some water. Let my soup come to a boil one more time. Season with some salt and garlic powder just because I felt like it needed it, and we're done. Written recipe will be on my Instagram tomorrow.